Imagine for a moment that you have been sitting in a movie theater since the day you were born. You're strapped into your seat, unable to turn your head left or right. Your entire reality, everything you have ever known, is the screen in front of you. You believe the actors are real people, the special effects are real magic, and the scripted drama is the actual history of the world. You have no concept of a projector, a director, or a world outside the theater walls. This haunting image is the core of the allegory of the cave, a philosophical thought experiment crafted by the Greek philosopher Plato over 2,000 years ago in his work, The Republic. It remains one of the most powerful and slightly terrifying metaphors for the human condition ever written. Plato asks us to imagine a group of prisoners confined in a deep, dark cave. They have been there since childhood, chained by their legs and necks so they cannot move or turn their heads. They face a blank stone wall. Behind the prisoners is a fire, and between the fire and the prisoners is a raised walkway. People walk along this walkway carrying objects, statues of men, animals, and various tools, much like puppeteers. The fire casts the shadows of these objects onto the wall in front of the prisoners. Because the cave echoes, when the people walking behind the walls speak, the prisoners believe the sounds are coming from the shadows. To these prisoners, the shadows are not reflections or illusions. They are the absolute truth. They give the shadows names, they study their movements, and they award honors to those who can predict which shadow will come next. They are totally consumed by this two-dimensional dance, unaware that it is all a trick of the light. Then, Plato introduces a twist. Suppose one prisoner is free. He is forced to stand up and turn around. The movement is agonizing because his muscles have atrophied. When he looks toward the fire, the light burns his eyes, which are accustomed to the dark. He is confused and angry. If someone told him that the objects passing by were real and the shadows he had spent his life studying were fake, he would not believe them. The shadows appear much clearer to him than these blurry, bright objects. He would want to sit back down and stare at the wall. But the guide drags him by force, up the rough, steep ascent out of the cave. This journey is not a happy one. It is painful and irritating. Finally, he is dragged out into the sunlight. At first, he is completely blinded. The sun is overwhelming. He can only look at the shadows on the ground, then at the reflections of things in the water. Slowly, as his eyes adjust, he begins to see the real world. He sees trees, animals, and the stars. Finally, he is able to look at the sun itself. He realizes that the sun is the source of the seasons, the years, and the light that makes everything visible. He understands that his former life in the cave was a sham. He pities his fellow prisoners and their silly games of guessing shadows. However, the story does not end with his enlightenment. Plato argues that the freed man has a duty to return. He goes back down into the darkness to tell the others the truth. But something tragic happens. Upon re-entering the cave, his eyes, now used to the sunlight, cannot see in the dark. He stumbles and looks clumsy. The prisoners on the bench mock him. They say that his journey upward has ruined his eyes. When he tries to explain that the shadows are fake and that a greater reality exists outside, they get angry. To them, he is speaking nonsense. They are so protective of their reality that Plato suggests if they could reach him, they would kill the man who tries to set them free. This was a somber nod to the fate of Plato's teacher, Socrates, who was executed for trying to get Athenians to question their reality. So, are we all prisoners? Plato suggests that we are. The cave represents the world of our senses, what we see, hear, and touch. We are often content to look at the surface level of things, accepting appearances as reality without questioning the deeper truths behind them. The shadows are the illusions we chase. Fame, social status, material wealth, or the carefully curated lives we see on social media. We obsess over these flickering images, thinking they constitute a full life, unaware of the true reality that exists beyond our immediate perception. The journey out of the cave represents education and philosophical reasoning. It is the difficult process of questioning your assumptions. It is rarely comfortable. Just as the prisoner was pained by the light, we are often feel defensive or confused when our core beliefs are challenged. Learning the truth requires us to admit that we were wrong, which is a stinging sensation for the ego. The allegory of the cave challenges us to ask difficult questions. What are the shadows in your life? What illusions are you fixated on that might be distracting you from a deeper, more significant reality? And, perhaps most importantly, if someone came to unchain you and drag you toward the blinding light of the truth, would you go willingly, or would you fight to stay in the comfortable dark?